Manage your inventory.
She's an outcast, to be shunned.
The morning after the proving, we are graced with this very lovely scene of a young Aloy that's inside this waterway, very similar to kind of like a James Cameron's Aliens-esque scene. And then we get a horrific vision of Tirsa, who's transforming into Rost until she finally wakes up. They mostly come out at night. Mostly.
Turn your face to the sun, child.
When she wakes up, she's inside another bunker that's inside the womb of the mountain, where she gets a couple more visions of different things that happen through her focus. She sees the cultist leader, that is voiced by Crispin Freeman, issuing commands to his underlings through the focuses that are inside of their ears, and it seems as though he is actually issuing a command to execute a young woman that looks surprisingly like Aloy. This woman has a genetic match to Aloy of 99.47% as told to us by the All-Mother herself, leading Aloy to believe that this is actually her mother.
Are you my mother?
The plot thickens. Tirsa then leads us to the All-Mother herself, which again is a giant metal door that they worship like a deity. Praise be the doorways! Tirsa insists that Aloy was born inside of the All-Mother at the place where the All-Mother defeated the Metal Devil. She also reveals that Tirsa found her laying on a slab crying just outside of the mother's womb.
But this isn't a goddess.
Aloy! It's a door!
A synthetic voice awakens, reading Aloy's genetic makeup, but refusing her access because apparently 99.47% is just not good enough in their world.
Entry denied.
This is where things start to get kind of interesting. Tirsa somehow interprets the message that the All-Mother gave her as being a corrupted message that Aloy needs to leave the Embrace and find the source of the corruption, which would then save them all, supposedly. Aloy goes to venture outside of the Embrace. Tab reminisces about her and Rost, even though Aloy, you know,
Forgot that he existed.
Resh wigs out because Tirsa and the other matriarchs made Aloy a scout, or a seeker as they call them, if you will.
Resh, come on.
And his procrastination and his annoyance leads them to be attacked by a group of corrupted machines, which of course they assume are demons. Kind of like how everyone acted back in 1999 at the onset of the Y2K virus, when everybody thought that their computers were going to explode. This demon is known as a corruptor, and it's able to send out a signal to other machines that basically hacks into their protocol and uses them to attack, and they become incredibly hostile.
What's it doing to them?
We're taking control.
Also, if a human ends up getting too close to the corruption, they can succumb to it as well, and it ends up injuring them, although the corruption itself can't hack into them. It hurts.
Don't touch the corruption.
Anyway, Aloy takes down this corruptor and steals its controlling device thingy, and gains yet another admirer, not just Erend.
I think you're a blessing from All-Mother, no matter what Resh says.
Thank you, Teb. But I have to go now.
I know you do, and my thoughts go with you.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Oh, Teb, you poor thing. You don't stand a chance against Erend. I mean, it's not really a contest. I'm so sorry. Aloy tests out her new ability to override the machines on a nearby Strider, which, by the way, is by far one of the most advanced things in this game for my little brain to actually figure out. It took me forever to somehow figure out how to override and ride on a Strider correctly.
This Strider is fast!
And that's not even one of the hardest enemies in the game to override. I apparently am just, you know, really bad at video games. The game also opens up quite a bit here. You're not just limited to the All-Mother's Embrace, but you can really go pretty much anywhere, although you do kind of run the risk of dying at the hands of some of the stronger enemies.
First strike.
Some of them definitely require you to have other upgrades available that you get throughout the game, or by leveling up, or reaching merchants and reaching other cities. It really does open up a lot for you, and you can really go anywhere that you want to. You just have to be ready to pay the consequences if you're somewhere that's way too advanced for you. It's really neat because at no point in the game do you ever feel like you're the top of the food chain. You always feel like you're being hunted by something, and I just absolutely love that. You'll also start to see side quests pop up in the form of little green exclamation marks. These side quests, most of them aren't super integral to the story, but they do kind of provide bits and pieces of small little lore building aspects. So I do recommend that you actually do them. They also do get you some much needed experience. So if this is your first time playing through the game, it's definitely handy because leveling up is key. Getting those abilities is just gonna make it so much easier to get through this game. Anyway, what we need to do though is get to the Carja capital, Meridian, and that is where we head off to next. Of course, there are things that stop her along the way. She ends up meeting a whole bunch of people that need her specific skill set to help them. One of them being At Mother's Crown. This woman's name is Maria, and we kind of learn a little bit more about the corrupted machines and the fact that there are clusters of them. It's not just one or two of them. We're also given a little bit more context about the strife between the different tribes, more specifically the strife between the Nora and some of the other tribes that exist outside of the Embrace, and how the Nora just really like to stay secluded and don't like really conversing with the other tribes at all.
There's danger ahead, girl.
Danger for you, Outlander. This is Noraland.
They're a very defensive people that really just want to live to themselves and kind of stay in their own element, and it doesn't really sit well with some of the other tribes in the past, even leading to a war between the Karja and the Nora themselves. We find out that the tribe that's had the biggest issue with the Nora are the Karja, and that they've actually been at war in the past, mostly because the previous Karja king was incredibly cruel.
The 13th Sun King was a murderous bum.
Which is a fact that the newer King Avad desperately tries to make up for. Aloy arrives at the Karja border fort where their soldiers are being attacked by yet another corruptor and its corrupted posse. And of course, she saves the day. She's the protagonist. It happens a lot in this game.
Get over it.
I mean, who else is gonna save them? Teb, are you gonna save them? The Karja opened the gates with less persuasion than it took the Nora to open them up. And you also get to speak with another guy to start the Frozen Wilds side quest here. This conversation is part of the DLC and the Complete Edition, which is probably the easier one to get. But if you only have the original version of the game and you don't have the Frozen Wilds DLC, this guy I don't think will actually show up. I have the Complete Edition, so I can't really be completely sure. But yeah, it's neat that they plant the seed for the storyline early on in the game. However, it does actually require you to be a super high level. So unless you're doing a New Game Plus, I wouldn't recommend taking on the Frozen Wilds right away. I would probably wait until around roughly level 30 when the side quest actually recommends it. I know I haven't really been talking too much about the side quests that are in this game, and I do kind of want to save them for a different video and not really focus on them in this one, but there are some side quests that they deem as a main quest, even though it's not really part of the main quest, and they are actually super important because they do give you bits and pieces of the story, and it is super handy to have them. But one of these is the War Chief's Trail, which I do actually like as a quest. You end up encountering Dran, another Nora Brave, that was cornered by a group of machines corrupted by a corruptor. He tells Aloy that they were led into an ambush and that Sona, the leader of that group, isn't actually there with them, but she's actually gone on to a metal tower in an area known as Devil's Thirst, which has a bunch of corrupted machines and bandit camps in it. It's got the name Devil's Thirst. That's not terrifying.
Near the metal tower, southeast of the ruins at Devil's Thirst.
When we get there, we find a tall neck, which is a gigantic giraffe-looking creature with a disc on its head. And we also find Sona. Who quickly employs us to deal with the cultist camps that are near there, as well as the corrupted machines.
I crave vengeance. Do you?
And they end up taking this area back in the name of the Nora Brave, which, you know, was gonna happen. It was just inevitable. It's Aloy, am I right? Aloy finally gets her first taste of life beyond the Embrace, and the world is just beautiful and immense and massive. And of course, the new areas that are opened up to us have yet more collectibles, more cauldrons, more Banuk figures, more data points, more cups with random names on them. I think there's actually a Gundam reference in there. And of course, more bandits. Get used to the bandits, we'll be seeing a lot of them, but that's, again, for a later point. The desert area that we're opened up to is also filled with flying enemies, which is the first time that we've actually seen flying enemies, and some other vicious nasties like the Thunderjaw, my personal favorite, and the Stormbird, which is another flying nasty, and it is super annoying. Honestly though, nothing comes close to being as annoying as the Rockbreaker. Oh, the Rockbreakers. Meridian. We make it to Meridian, and Aloy is starting to finally get some respect, which is a very stark contrast to the beginning of the game where she's basically shunned by everybody and everybody hates her. A lot of the soldiers throughout the town even go as far as to salute her in their own way, kind of. The fact that somehow word about her deeds has already gotten to Meridian and that these soldiers already admire her is just super cool. I do wonder though how the news travels so fast because, you know, it's kind of on the opposite side of the map, and
How did you get that so quickly?
who's able to gossip that well that they're able just to kind of send you this information through the radio waves. Again, digressing, he briefly gets stopped by a guard that apparently doesn't know anything about Aloy, even though the rest of the city somehow has been able to gossip about her and knows that she's just the coolest thing since sliced bread. And a very drunk Erend comes to her defense.
All the way to Meridian just to see me?
You've been drinking?
Naturally, because apparently all Erend seems to do in this game is drink, the guard releases Aloy into his custody, and the two end up sharing a very heartfelt conversation that revolves around Erend's sister. It appears as though Erend's sister Ursa has actually been killed, and that is actually the reason why he's been drinking so heavily.
You need to pull it together.
You're given a couple of different choices here. You can comfort Erend if you'd like, which is always the one that I chose just because it's so cute and it develops their relationship a little bit more. But Aloy really does stress to Erend that she needs to get to finding Olin as soon as possible. Erend actually agrees as long as he can be part of the search. After destroying Olin's home simply to get into the basement, we actually find a data log that shows that Olin is acting on behalf of the killers because his family is actually being held captive by them. Just before Aloy leaves to go find Olin and the killers, Erend begs her to use her focus to help him find out what actually happened to his sister. He makes a very compelling argument that he deserves more than just justice. He then tells her if she does choose to help him to meet him at the Red Ridge Pass, and they're going to get to the bottom of what actually happened. I highly recommend that you switch to this right away, just so you can kind of have a feel as to what's going on, and you get a better glimpse into Erend's character.
Now get out of here, or I'll give you all a kick in the...
Oh my God!
Erend's errand. Meeting up with Erend and saving him from the weakest machine in the game, a Watcher, that for some reason he can't handle even though he's got this giant hammer with him. He leads Aloy to an ambush site where Ursa was supposedly attacked by the killers. Following the trail that Aloy is able to see with her focus, we actually find out that it was the Oseram that were behind this, not another tribe like we previously thought. Why the Oseram would actually do this is yet to be found out, but they definitely want to get to the bottom of this. As Aloy and Erend raid a bandit camp, Aloy uses her focus yet again to discover that the body that was supposedly Ursa's might not actually be Ursa's at all, and it might be a fake, and that Ursa might actually still be alive.
Then my sister could be alive.
With a small glimmer of hope, Erend runs off to the Palace of the Sun once again to inspect the body and see if what Aloy is actually suggesting is true. We'll come back to this part in a moment, but let's go check in on Olin, shall we? Excavating Olin's antics. Once Aloy gets to the excavation site, she witnesses a cultist leader revive a corruptor right in front of Olin's eyes. And just before any more antics can ensue, someone cuts the power to all the focuses. The only one that doesn't have their power cut is Aloy's.
Forgive this intrusion, Aloy. You left me no choice.
Who is this?
An interested party. Now their focuses are disabled, but I don't know for how long.
Interesting. Another side note, I never noticed it in my other playthroughs of this game, but this cultist leader actually has bullet casings that are somehow woven through the skin on his arms, and it's disgusting. I just want to throw that out there because for some reason it's giving me the heebie-jeebies. Ew. Anyway, the new player to the field hijacks Aloy's focus and tells her that he is an interested third party in everything that is going on. Aloy eradicates the group of cultists, and we get yet another small little glimpse of the truth behind this game. This particular cult belongs to the Shadow Karja, and they are a group known as the Eclipse.
Some kind of holy warriors. A cult of the Shadow Karja.
And instead of worshipping the sun like all the other Karja do, they worship an unseen entity that talks to them through a mechanical voice called Hades.
I'm not interested in their superstitions.
Oh, it's not a superstition. Their devil is real. It has a name, a voice, the most terrible voice, and they do its bidding.
The Eclipse have been working with Hades to resurrect ancient machines that have been hidden underground and dormant for quite some time. Some of these are the Corruptors, but there's also another more dangerous machine called the Deathbringer that the Eclipse are trying to resurrect. Because of all of its armaments, Olin suspects that it's going to be used to wage war on the capital of Meridian. More specifically, to wage war against the new Sun King, Avad, who's trying to currently sow peace between all the tribes, including the Karja. Something that the old tribes of the Karja, the Shadow Karja, do not want. Aloy has one more very important question for him that he doesn't seem to be able to answer. She wants to know who the woman is that bears such a striking resemblance to her. Olin, of course, doesn't really know the answer to this.
I'm the one asking questions.
And then Aloy is given a choice. Either spare his life and let him redeem himself in the name of his family, or spare only his family and spill his blood. Obviously, because she's the protagonist, she's gonna choose sparing all of them. Right? Right. That seems like the good thing to do. Speaking of Meridian, let's go check back in on Erend.
Erend, tell her what you found.
I checked Ursa's tomb.
That's going to be it for this part. If you enjoyed watching it as much as I did making it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can stay up to date with all of the latest MYI content as soon as it goes live. We also would love it if you leave us a comment in the comment section down below and let us know what other games you want to see us cover. And don't forget that we also go streaming live on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can't wait to see you soon, fellow inventory managers. Have a good one. Bye. Don't be bad at overriding like I am.